watching 10 at 10 Live, your nightly news headquarters, with Tara Lawson, co-anchoring Nathan Carroll. Bringing you tonight's weather, Bristol McPhee. To update you on sports, Nate Pettit. With tonight's special feature, Diane Tran, and our interpreter for the hearing impaired, Heather Swenson.
Good evening and welcome to 10 at 10 Live. I'm Nathan Carroll.
And I'm Tara Lawson. Tonight's top story will take us to Hong Kong, where health officials are hoping that today's chicken extermination program will curb the spread of the mysterious bird flu. The chickens are the host of the dangerous bird flu virus that has killed 4 people and caused widespread fears of a global panic.
Despite assurances that the bird flu cannot be contracted by eating chicken, Hong Kong restaurants were dropping chicken and poultry dishes from their menus.
The U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention says they do not know how humans are contracting the virus. A team of medical experts from the World Health Organization is scheduled to arrive in Hong Kong and begin its own surveillance of the virus.
Rioting inmates at a prison in São Paulo, Brazil, are holding more than 600 hostages, 1/3 of whom are children. The 2-day standoff started with an aborted jailbreak that left 2 dead. About 900 inmates are housed in the prison, which has the capacity for 500. The rebel inmates have agreed to end the standoff if they are transferred to less crowded prisons.
In a conflict on another continent, 30 peasants begged for mercy as Muslim militants shot them to death in a mosque in Algeria. The massacre was part of a wave of violence before the Islamic holiday of Ramadan. Ramadan is the holy month of fasting from dawn until dusk. It will begin Tuesday for the world's 1 billion Muslims, who are expected to observe this holiday by abstaining from food, drink, smoking, and sex during the daylight hours as an act of sacrifice and purification.
Turning now to national news, dozens of witnesses will be giving the Terry Nichols jury new testimony, including some emotional accounts of the impact that the Oklahoma City bombing had on the relatives of victims. Jurors in Denver will be deciding whether to sentence Nichols to death.
And in another court case, a nurse who is charged with 6 murders and suspected in about 130 mysterious hospital deaths pleaded not guilty Tuesday in a courtroom packed with relatives of those who died while in his care. Orville Lynn Majors, age 36, said little in court, responding to several questions from the judge. Majors, who was arrested Monday and jailed without bond, has maintained his innocence.
On a lighter note, William Farley will be enjoying the fruits of his labor. In Newport, Rhode Island, the Hammersmith farm where John F. Kennedy and bride Jacqueline held their wedding reception has been sold to an underwear tycoon for $6.7 million. Farley, chief executive of Fruit of the Loom Incorporated, will keep the 28-room house open to the public for at least 2 years.
Nathan, what will happen after the 2 years?
Well, then Farley will move his family in and tours will no longer be conducted. As the year draws to an end, the death of Princess Diana was the biggest news story of 1997. Death figured in the top 10 more than once, as the conviction and death sentence of Timothy McVeigh and the death of Mother Teresa were second and third respectively. But there was still room for life on the list. An exact clone of a sheep was born in Scotland, and thanks to fertility drugs and faith, an Iowa family expanded from 3 to 10 members.
Septuplet mom Bobby McCoy of Carlisle, Iowa, said having her 7 new babies all home together is going to be happy and hectic. She's not scared about managing feedings, changings, and baths for the 7 babies, while still keeping up with older daughter Michaela, who is nearly 2 years old. McCoy and her husband Kenny became the parents of the world's only living set of septuplets on November 19th. In other Iowa news, a Story City girl survived a night in a crashed car with the bodies of her mother and toddler brother. Cassie Vold, age 5, had been flown to Mercy Hospital Medical Center for treatment of hypothermia and other minor injuries after she was discovered in the wrecked car. Michelle Vold, age 27, and Colin Vold, Cassie's 1.5-year-old brother, were killed in the accident. Cassie is presently listed in good condition.
Will state government be going online? Governor Branstad says virtually all government services and information would be available on the internet within 3 years under a program he's promoting. This move is the latest Branstad has taken in spelling out his legislative agenda. More travel options for Iowans could be on the way. One Iowa rail official says the state could get a 3rd Amtrak line. Amtrak currently operates 2 trains a day between Chicago and the West Coast that run through southern Iowa. Officials say a decision about the 3rd line depends on federal regulations. Speaking of travel, don't leave home without your automobile insurance card, right, Tara?
You bet, Nathan. Beginning January 1st, motorists who can't prove they are insured or have some other way to pay for damages in an accident will face penalties ranging from a warning to losing their license plates to some pretty stiff fines. The point of the new state law is to clamp down on uninsured motorists by catching and punishing them before they get into a wreck.
The new year also will usher in a reduction of Iowa income taxes. The 10% rate cut means that less money will be withheld from workers' pay for personal income taxes beginning with their first January payroll check.
This year, the weather has caused floods in California and record snow in Georgia. Bristol, what is causing these strange weather conditions?
As you may already know, the El Niño is the strongest it has been in a decade, thus having a major influence on the weather outlook for early 1998. In the north, it is expected to be warmer and drier than normal, while in the south, the weather will be cooler and wetter. But I'll tell you more about that later.
Thanks, Bristol. We'll be looking forward to hearing more on the weather.
Child labor has been a controversial issue for many years. Here's Diane Tran with our third segment in our series on global concerns.
Tonight, we focus on child labor, which is an alarming problem in the world today. Human rights experts estimate that there are 200 million children under the age of 14 working in sweatshops under hazardous conditions for a couple pennies an hour. These children may work more than 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, never attending school. Right here in the United States, 4 major national retailers have sold garments made in 2 sweatshops in New York City's Chinatown. Most of the workers were between the ages of 9 and 17. The problem of exploitive child labor was made known to the American public in the summer of 1996, when it was disclosed that the Kathy Lee Gifford clothing line was manufactured by teenagers working in sweatshops for 31 cents an hour. The U.S. has responded to these cries of the laboring children around the world. The Child Labor Deterrence Act was introduced in Congress, prohibiting the importation of products to America that are made by children under 15. It is immoral to burden children with hard labor. They should be outside playing and enjoying the sunshine. Most importantly, young people should be in school to provide for a healthy, well-educated future in the economy of their country.
Thank you, Diane. Be sure to stay tuned tomorrow evening for the next segment in our series on global concerns. And speaking of global concerns, what can this section of the world expect in weather? Bristol?
Today's temperature was 53 degrees. The skies were cloudy, but there was no precipitation. The winds came from the southwest at 10 miles per hour. Los Angeles had a high of 58 degrees today. Denver, 39, and New York checked in with 46 degrees. The El Niño has also had a big effect on Georgia and Florida's temperatures. Florida's temperatures are currently in the 50s and 60s, while Georgia received some light flurries, very unusual for this region. The Corn Belt has also been experiencing unique weather. Iowa has been unseasonably mild, but the Arctic temperatures will be moving down from Minnesota tomorrow, dropping temperatures into the 30s, thus bringing the possibility for light flurries in northern Iowa. Dubuque had a high of 45 degrees today. Fort Dodge, 49. Sioux City checked in at 44 degrees, and Council Bluffs had a balmy 52 degrees. The 5-day weather forecast shows cloudy skies tomorrow with temperatures in the low 30s. Saturday will continue to be cloudy, temperatures expected to reach the 40s. The weather condition will remain the same for Sunday, but the clouds will open up on Monday, allowing temperatures to rise into the 50s. Chances of rain on Tuesday, temperatures again in the 50s. Back to you, Tara.
Thanks, Bristol. It looks like we won't be putting our sleds away just yet. Moving from cold temperatures to hot tempers, here's Nate Pettit with sports.
Although known for his hot temper, for once Dennis Rodman wasn't the guilty party in a recent brawl in the NBA. However, Corliss Williamson of the Sacramento Kings and Derek Coleman of the Philadelphia 76ers were at fault. Williamson was the initiator and was fined $15,000 and received a 3-game suspension, while Coleman was penalized $10,000 and handed a 2-game suspension. Chicago Bulls' Michael Jordan broke yet another scoring record. In the past 10 years, he played 788 consecutive games, scoring in double figures, surpassing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's old record. Switching to the NFL wildcard playoffs, Minnesota squeezed by New York 23-22. Denver romped Jacksonville 42-17. New England sacked Miami 17-3, and Tampa Bay rolled over Detroit 20-10. The highlight game of next week is Tampa Bay visiting the frozen tundra of the reigning Super Bowl champs, Green Bay, as they try to defend their title. In the college football world, tomorrow's game with Heisman runner-up Peyton Manning of number 3 ranked Tennessee and Coach Tom Osborne's number 2 ranked Nebraska Cornhuskers will decide the official voting for the national champion. Osborne announced his retirement earlier this month and is hopeful to end his season undefeated, his coaching career with a victory, and a final chance for a national championship title. The postseason began with several exciting bowl games, including Southern's triumphant victory over South Carolina State 34-28 in the Heritage Bowl. The first ever Insight.com Bowl saw Arizona prevail over the hard-hitting New Mexico team 20-14. Iowa Hawkeyes struggled to a well-respected Arizona State team 17-7 in a losing cause in the Sun Bowl. In the Holiday Bowl, Colorado State upset the popular Missouri team 35-24, and the powerhouse Michigan Wolverines kept their national title hopes alive with a Rose Bowl victory over Washington State 21-16. And finally, the Associated Press voted the young, talented Tiger Woods as Male Athlete of the Year. Rounding off the other top 5 vote-getters were Barry Sanders, Evander Holyfield, Michael Jordan, and Brett Favre. Well, that wraps up tonight's sports. Be sure to tune in to Channel 10 tomorrow for coverage of the Sugar Bowl.
And that concludes tonight's news broadcast.
Thanks for joining us.
And remember to tune in tomorrow for 10 at 10 Live.